you hear me, Charles?
Yeah, yeah, we got you. Man, I'm glad. Why you want to have to jump in the car?
Look, I had to get on my phone. I don't know what the hell's wrong with my computer, so I'm on my iPhone.
Okay,
Um,
I'm glad. I'm glad, man, and I'm honored, man, to be able to have you on my live video, right? Tell some of the people that's watching, man. Give us a little brief on who is Willie Green.
oh wow. Well, I guess the simpler way to say it is, I grew up in Athens, of course. Grew up in Paldo.
Hard.
My mother and father, Willie Green, the late Willie Green and Corinne Green.
Okay.
I was blessed to grow up in Paldo. We didn't, we grew up in the projects, but we didn't know we were poor, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so, I had a lot of family, not just my mom and dad, but that was back when they had community, right?
Yeah.
Where everybody was your mother and your father. And I was blessed to have that. And then I was able to go off to play football at Ole Miss and then play 9 years in the NFL. Had a very successful career by my definition and by others. And then I ended up starting my own business and been in business for the last 30-something years, in different sectors, whether it was real estate, financial services, and now I bought the Athens Sports Arena here down in Athens. So that's pretty much a nutshell of my life and my career. I've been blessed. I've been very fortunate.
That's good, man. That's good. So your arena, what does your arena offer?
So my sports arena obviously is located at 280 Commerce Boulevard. It's across the street from the old skating ring off Atlanta Highway.
Mm-hmm.
We spend a lot of time at the skating ring on Friday and Sunday nights. But I bought that building and converted it into, wanted to build a West Side Community Center. We don't have a West Side Community Center. Paldo is gone. Bishop Park, even though it's here, we really can't use the gym. It's all gymnastics. So the only thing really we have access to is the softball fields and the outdoor basketball courts. So what I wanted to do was to build a West Side Community Center, pretty much like Lay Park and Hurd Park, to give the kids out here in Stonehenge and Timothy Road and out here even as far as Old Paldo, which is Columbia Brookside, pretty much a place to go that's easily accessible to them on the west side as it is on the east side with Spring Valley and those areas, and also in Central Athens with Belta Homes.
Okay. And that's involving the community.
Charles, you're on mute.
Saying that.
Okay, that's better.
So that involves the community, and that's what we need. As far as with the stuff, and you're an Athens native, and you've been here a while, so you see some of the stuff that's going on throughout the government, the community, or whatever. How do you feel about the things that's transforming right now outside in the community? How do you feel about those things? I mean, we got issues with elected officials. I mean, it's everywhere. And believe it or not, I feel like in my heart that it's damaging Athens. While we get one part of the city good, we wind up and the other half turn out to be bad. So I just don't think that we are all, the way I feel, I don't think that we are all on the same page to make this community better. But I want to ask your insight. What is your insight on some of the stuff? I know you do a lot of reading and researching too. So how do you feel about the stuff that's transpiring in the community?
Well, I think, when we were growing up, you really did. Athens was somewhat unique from my perspective because I tell this story a lot. We had black friends and white friends that we went over their house. It wasn't about Republicans or Democrats or rich or poor. It was about a community. I mentioned people like Mr. Perno and Brack Rowe and Mr. Morocco and Mr. Reeves. Those are like my fathers too. Much like, Mr. Davenport and Willie Hull, Mr. Hull and John Ward and community policing was important. And So I think Athens has gotten away from that. And I think that Athens has gotten away from that is because we've somewhat allowed outsiders to come in to kind of change what things have been that were successful and framing it the way they want to. And back in the day, it was about empowerment of everybody, right? I mean, I can remember times when my mom took kids on trips all the time, Disney World, Washington D.C., the Braves games, Falcons games, and we used to wonder how in the world she was able to do that. And what I found out later on is she would go to your rich white people like Perno and Morocco and Brackrow and those guys, and they were the ones who were contributing to empowering us as young African Americans. So they understood the community. They understood the benefits of all of us working together for a safe and really a vibrant community. Somehow over the years, there's been sort of a liberal agenda to the point where our leaders now don't think that we as blacks know what's best for us, right? And I started seeing this more and more as I started moving back home 4 years ago. Specifically, one of the biggest things is about community policing. And I remember moving back here 4 years ago, and the first person reached out to me was Chief Spruill, who I thought was a good guy, and I still think is a good guy. And Chief Spruill, at the time, if you remember, this was during the George Floyd and the Ahmaud Arbery and the Breonna Taylor and the Black Lives Matter and the protesting and all of that. And Chief Spruill came to me and said, "Look, Willie, we've got problems with policing and that relationship within the minority community." And he knew that I had respect of the people on the east side, on the west side, North Avenue, all over. So he came to me and said, "Hey, help me out here." And this was before I bought my arena. So we talked about a plan for bringing back community policing. And unfortunately, Spruill hands were tied. We had a county manager and to a certain degree, some commissioners that didn't think it was the best idea to continue with community policing. And so that's why Spruill kind of just got upset and threw his hands up and said, "I'm out of here." And so when current Chief Jerry Salters came to me, it was about the time that I had bought my sports arena. And I still remember it like it was yesterday that, I had just bought the arena and we were doing some cleanup, and 3 white guys in full uniform, really nice dress, came in, and I'm like, "Oh hell, what the hell have I done?" But that was a joke because I knew I hadn't done anything, and I didn't recognize him. And he came up, he introduced himself, he introduced his 2 deputy chiefs to me and said, "Listen, we've got problems here." At the time, he was an interim. He hadn't become a full chief. He said, "Look, we got problems here with youth gang, and there's a lot of distrust within the minority community and underserved community with policing." And, Chief Spruill said that right before he left, he said, one of the first persons you need to reach out to is Willie Green. He could help you. And they know my relationship with the police department because, again, back in the day when I played ball, we had police officers that were our coaches, John Ward, Mr. Platt, right? Mr. Billups. We didn't see those guys as police officers. We saw them as coaches, right?
I wore back then.
And we didn't fear them. They were disciplined. The only person realistically that we feared in this town was Max Sewell, right?
Sewell.
The truest, right? That was the person, right? It was like, and he lived behind Paul though, so it was like he lived in this big house, and that he was watching over us and said, "If you don't have your butt in school, I'm gonna take care of you." But that was really the only person that we feared. The police officers we didn't see John Ward and Mr. Billups and Carl Plack and Chief Lumpkin and those guys as police officers. We saw them as coaches. We saw them as fathers. We've gotten away from that, and that's the reason why I think you see a lot of the stuff going on, that there's this disconnect between law enforcement and the minority community. One of the things that, what prompted me to call you and reach out to you, and I told you this, that video, Father's Day, when the young man was being arrested on the moped. And the lady that was on that video, you know, she didn't even know that guy. And you can tell the fear in her voice and the anger in her
Yeah.
voice as to the relationship between the minority community and and law enforcement. And one thing that just continued to ring up in my mind and continue to ring up is when she was saying, you guys supposed to be the good guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the way I saw John Ward. I saw Mr. Platt. I saw Chief Lumpkin. I saw Mr. Billups. I see right now guys like Tommy Barnett and Kent Brown and Tony Howard and Hood and those guys that I went to school with who are cops. And like you said, there are some great police officers
Yeah.
out here in Athens. Not all of them are bad apples, much like a lot of us as blacks. We're not bad apples, so don't throw us all in one bucket. There's a lot of good white people. Don't throw all of them in one bucket. But what I don't see is those people are the loudest voices in the room. Those police officers are not the loudest voices in the room, meaning that what they're trying to do is not being seen or even being looked at. I don't even know if it's even being pushed by our local government. But what I can tell you from my personal experience is um, when Chief Salters came to me, I believe that man to be an honorable man. I believe his heart was in the right place and doing the right thing. He came to me. He said, "Look, you know, let's work out something." I put together a proposal where we would have after school programs year round, where his police officers, law enforcement officers would be our coaches, our mentors, our referees, so to get back to that community policing. For whatever reason, when I submitted that proposal, it was shot down.
Oh, oh,
So
oh. You submitted the proposal for this and they shot it down?
yes, I submitted the proposal back in 2022 and 2023. And actually, I just submitted another proposal uh, using now because Sheriff Williams, John Q, said, Willie, look, we need your help, right? If your Athens Clarke County Police Department don't want to work with you and and how about working with our deputy sheriff? So number one, John Q made me an honorable deputy. Number two, I serve on his police foundation board, the sheriff
Awesome.
department
Awesome.
police under.
Yeah.
And we know the sheriff department is understaffed and underfunded where the police department is not. And so where I lost a lot of trust in the police department, the chief of police, not the police department, but the chief of police, because again, there are some great Athens Clarke County Police Department officers out there. I'm still friends with them. I'll always be friends with them. Where I lost trust in him is the night that I got arrested. And I'm not going to go, and I'll go into a little bit of the detail, but make a long story short, you know, I was hosting an event at my arena. It was a Hispanic event, and there's this one lady who's always calling about the noise, the music. Now, we've been doing these types of events out there since 1977. So this neighborhood just were developed. So it's like moving next to an airport and then complain about the airport noise, right? You know what I mean? So anyway, we were having a Hispanic event. Police came out. I was trying to explain to the police officers, I'm well within my rights of playing this music. That neighborhood has just got here, and they didn't want to hear it, right? There was no de-escalation. There was no community policing. There was no consideration of listening to what I had to say. It was like, how dare you as a black man tell us what to do, right? How you know all of this. So I was arrested for obstruction and noise ordinance violation, which, by the way, you don't supposed to be arrested for a noise ordinance violation, but nevertheless. And so 2 days after that event, after that arrest, the chief of police and I talked, and he apologized to me, Willie, I'm so sorry this happened. I said, listen, chief, this is a perfect opportunity for us to show that and to roll out our initiative of community policing. I said, here's what I want you to do. Here's what we want to do. You're going to issue a public apology, right? Saying you apologize and say, look, I know there's some things I need to clean up in the police department. We're working on that. We want to work with the community. And I said, this will show the community that when you make a mistake, right, you admit to it and use this as a platform to roll out our initiative. He was all on board with it. And I said, in the meantime, we still got this case pending. So until the decision is made whether to prosecute me or not, moving forward, I will hire one of your police officers to monitor my parties and my events. And he agreed to that. And on that call, he was like, well, I want to introduce, he said, he wanted to know if I wanted to file a complaint against those two police officers through their Office of Professional Standards. And I said, let me think about it. I said, but let's hope that you and I could get this resolved where it doesn't go that far. Because I wasn't trying to get nobody in trouble. I saw it as an opportunity to show the minority community that, hey, when we screw up, we admit it, and then let's move on and try to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So he said, well, here, I'll have Lieutenant Hurd, who's over internal affairs, contact you, and you can file a police a report. About 30, 40 minutes after I got off the phone, I got a call from Lieutenant Hurd. He said, I wanted to know if I wanted to file a complaint against these two police officers. And I said, well, first of all, I'd like to see the video because I want to make sure I didn't do anything wrong or said anything wrong. So he said, well, can you come the very next day? And I went down the very next day and I watched the video. Okay. And on that video, you see that before the officer, when he got the call, he went over to the lady's house. He told her that before he came over to her house, he had just left my arena. He was sitting in the parking lot. He said there was loud music, but it wasn't coming from my arena. It could have been coming from the skating rink across the street, or it could have been coming from people driving down in there. A lot of people drive down there and play loud music. Yeah. And he was like, I was just over there. It's loud music, but it's not coming from the arena. And then her response was, well, maybe it's cars drag racing, because that happens a lot down in this area. We got the car dealerships right up the street. So people come and test drive cars. They come down here, do donuts and loud music, so forth and so on. And then she said, well, I was just calling in advance because, they do play loud music. At that point in time, that police officer should have said, well, ma'am, I didn't hear any music, and he should have closed that transaction out. Instead,
and apologize for even disrupting whatever you had going on.
Correct.
That's what should happen.
Instead, he came back to my arena, and at that point in time, he met with my sister, and then they called me on the phone. I wasn't there, and he said, Mr. Green, I'm here to give a verbal warning. And so
Well, hold on. What is the warning for?
Well, that's the question. The verbal warning is that we got a noise complaint, right? After he had told the lady he didn't hear.
It wasn't you.
Right. So I was on the phone. I said, well, give me a few minutes. I'll be over there. Now, on the body cam video, you can see the gentleman who was hosting the event tell the police officer, I'll go in and turn the music down, and you can see him go inside the building. So you gave a verbal warning, which is a verbal warning. It's not a written warning. You don't ask for ID. You don't ask for anything. And he complied. So before I even got there, there was a compliance. There was a request, and we complied. At that point in time, what a known police officer would have did when I got there, he would have said, Mr. Green, we gave a verbal warning. The gentleman complied. I just want to let you know if there's any other noise complaints, we're going to have to come out and give you a citation, right? That should have been that should have been the de-escalation of it. And again, not knowing, right, that he had told her that he didn't hear the music. I didn't know that. We didn't know that until we seen the video. So at that point in time, that transaction should have ended. No, the verbal warning was given. We complied. Instead, when I got there, he escalated it to, well, I need your ID because we're going to write you a written citation. And again, not knowing that the gentleman had complied, not knowing that that he had told the lady that, hey, that noise, the music wasn't coming from the arena. So I was like, and knowing my rights and knowing that I had the right to do this, I said to him, I'm not doing it. And as I was trying to explain to him that we've been having parties out here for the last 17 years, the previous owner, there's never been any written citations to my knowledge. And I was told when I got my license that we could do this because we were in a commercially zoned area. Of course, he didn't want to hear it. I asked for a supervisor. His supervisor came. I tried to explain it to his supervisor. They didn't want to hear it. They said, if you don't give us your ID, we're going to arrest you for obstruction. And I said, well, do what you got to do. All right. So that's what's on the video. This is, and you and I talk a lot, and I always tell you, if you're going to make claims, make sure you got receipts. So I have receipts to verify all of this. So that was the night of my arrest. And then the chief and I agreed that from now on, I will hire a police officer to monitor the music. 2 weeks later, I had Officer Chamber out there. Another police officer comes out, complain about the noise. Officer Chambers tries to explain to them that I'm grandfathered in and that I have every right to play music. The same sergeant came back out and didn't want to hear what I had to say, didn't want to hear what Chambers said. Officer Chambers saw that I was about to get arrested again. He was like, Willie, just give him your license. Let's deal with it at another time. And I did. All right. So then about a month later, the case was dropped. They said that that I had every right to play music because that neighborhood, not only my property was on commercial, that neighborhood is on commercial, which is
not even a residential area.
That's not even a residential area. It's a commercial area, which there's no noise restrictions in a commercial area. All right. So that was in June. And so the chief and I are still talking. I'm still trying to work with him. I'm still working with him, And so they sent a memo out to say that no officer can respond to a noise ordinance moving forward. Well, in September, the same police officer who came out there to arrest me in May came back out, right? So I'm looking at
stalking your area. I don't know.
So here's the thing. Either one or two things is happening as it relates to the police department. Either these police officers are not getting the proper training that they need, right? And as a result of a lot of us minorities being arrested, right now there's 4 civil lawsuits against them for unlawful arrest, right? In federal court by Black people, right? So either they're not getting the proper training, or they are getting the proper training and they're saying to the chief of police and the city, to hell with y'all proper training. We're going to go out here and do what we want to do. Neither one of those are good for our community, right?
Not at all.
So after the guy came back out in September, I seen the chief at the Lenintown event. And he came up, he hugged me and said, man, I love you. I'm sorry this is happening. And I was like, Chief, what the hell, man? I thought, he was like, I know, Willie, I cursed out everybody in my department. Well, that's no good to me. I mean, you cursing them out. I got family members that if they know if they ask me for money, I'm going to curse them out. I'm going to yell at them. But I'm going to end up giving them the money. So at the end of the day, say, well, I'll just let him get it off his chest, but he going to give me the money anyway. So if the only thing is that the police officers are facing is a cursing out, and they're still able to go out here and do this stuff, what good is cursing them out, right?
Exactly.
So to me, that you have a department that you've lost control over. Now, I don't know if that's the chief. I believe that the chief is sincere. I honestly believe that. I just think that I think he's facing the same thing that Spruill faced. I think leadership is telling him no relationships with minorities, especially people like Willie Green and people who can help. I think that there's this thing that we don't know what's best for our community. And I will repeat that I am a firm believer that the vast majority of law enforcement officers want to do the right thing, but I think they're handcuffed. And so when we talk about these types of things, we talk about the problem, but there's solutions. And as I've said to the city, I love Athens. You know, when I played in the NFL and when I played in college, I bragged about Athens. I bragged about not only Clark Central, but I bragged about my friends that see the shows, because even though we had battles on the field, guys like Rufus, Norman Haynes, Greg Huggs and all those guys, we were still friends and buddies. It wasn't that east-west side stuff. And we're still friends to this day. The Colbert family, Jeremiah Colbert, those guys. Even when I go to see the show game, there's always a section where the Colbert family sits, and you can't sit, nobody else can sit there. But I'm welcome there, right? But I'm just but you can see that either side of Athens, people want to work together. I think it's our leadership that's causing the division, because it's not in their best interest for the unity of this community if they have another agenda. And
I'm gonna tell you though, Willie. I'm gonna tell you real quick. Chief Salter is a good guy. He's a good guy, bro. And it's good that you pointed out. I think a lot of them hands are tied.
right,
When you got a government that's corrupted and corrupting, it's hard to get the bottom on top, the bottom right if the top ain't right. You
right,
feel what I'm saying?
right.
So Chief Salter, he a good guy, and I'm gonna tell you, because I just like you, man. I deal with a lot of sheriff and police officers a lot, man, and we got some really good ones out there.
Some
But
great ones
yeah,
out
we
there.
got
They
some
just not able
good
to
ones,
do
man.
their work, man. I mean, again, I know them. I grew up with them. And again, it's about the leadership. And the thing was hypocritical to me from our leadership, since you mentioned about the leadership. You got commissioners like Jesse Hull and Melissa Link, who comes out about Black Lives Matter when Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and these guys, and they pass all these resolutions and all of these things about Black Lives Matter and Black people matter and all of this. And they criticize other cities when stuff happened to Black people, but then when the police do wrong by us, they go radio silent, right? Right. I
And
mean,
said we troublemakers because we just witnessed a young black kid get assaulted by. I mean, you right. Cause I when that Margaret and George Floyd and all that stuff went down, they had on T-shirts. Melissa
right,
Lincoln, all the commission,
right,
they had on the T-shirt. Black Lives Matter, this and that, this and that. But here it is, it's happening in our own city, and you ain't got nothing to say. I
right,
mean, you hold a position that can make that
right,
change. Yes, I agree
right.
with you
And
with
and
that.
they passed resolutions. They passed a resolution in July of 2020. They called it resolution for a commission of Athens, Clark County, Georgia, in recognition of Black Lives Matter. And then, if you remember the Ahmaud Arbery stuff back in November, they passed it. They created this Peace Corps committee where people can go and complain to file a complaint with this public oversight board dealing with police officers. To me, that's a joke, right? Because it's not a fair process. And then you've got things that again, you have all elected officials who have come out. Tim Dixon, when that stuff happened downtown about the tear gas, right? Um, he said this. He said demonstrators were there, quote, because they don't know what to do anymore because our society doesn't act like Black Lives Matter. Now, this is Tim Denson, right? So where's Tim Denson when I've been arrested, right? And where these other Black people are unlawfully arrested. Kara Myers said this, quote, I never had trouble with the police, but that's not the perspective for everyone in the community. And we want to build trust for everyone in this community. These are her quotes, right? Melissa Link said there has been a lot of trust lost between certain portions of our citizenry and police. These are commissioners who are identifying that some of our local police, again, not all of them, but some of them are not acting in the best interest of this community, and they are our commissioners, and they have an opportunity to step up and do something about it, and they don't.
How long? The quote that you just read. I know. I remember about the tear. I was actually down there that night about the tear gas when they pepper sprayed the UGA students.
Right.
Um, but how long ago that been? That's been a year, 2 years, 3 years ago when all this
Well,
happened.
the pepper spray incident happened back in 2020.
Okay,
That
so
was
we
under
just
the
use
rule.
let's just use that right there. 2020. It's
Right.
4 years later. Four
Right.
years later, these people still sitting. Except Tim Dempsey, he's a school board member now, but these same people still sit in the same position, and ain't nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
It ain't
So
nothing changed.
again, you passed a resolution. Here's the thing: they passed a resolution at the last county commissioner meeting about youth development, about the youth gang shootings. Remember the gang shooting that happened a couple of months ago, where the young 3-year-old got shot, and then
Mm-hmm.
over, I think, in Rolling Ridge, and they keep passing these resolutions and all of these things. But here I am saying, listen, I have a facility, and I have a partnership with law enforcement that could address these youth gangs. Some of them, not all of them, but we could give these kids something that they can go to other than the youth gang. The reason why they join gangs was because the gangs are a family. They don't have anywhere else to go. The realization is very few of them can go to Lay Park and Hurd Park. They definitely, with all due respect to the Boys and Girls Club, if you're not a member of the Boys and Girls Club, you can't go to the Boys and Girls Club, right? So where is that vast majority of the segment of people who I'm saying, listen, if you can't service them, I have a gym over here, I have a facility over here, I have police officers and law enforcement officers who are willing to volunteer their time to do community outreach and be a coaches, and I can't get no funding, but people like Athens Land Trust is able to get $3.5 million for youth development, and they haven't identified a site to build a community center. They received this approval back in December 2018, and they're still holding on to that money. They still haven't built the site or did anything. And these are the people that you want to help service our kids when they don't not even from here.
I'm just.
And again,
Let me just hold up for a minute. Let me just. I just gotta say this. How can you possibly give Athens Land Trust money for the youth, and they don't even know the youth?
correct,
They don't know the youth parents.
correct.
They don't. I mean, they don't know nothing about the youth. So you bunch all these millions of dollars to an organization because they're your friends or whatever they is. I don't know. But you push that money over there to them. They done had it since what, 2018?
2018, they was approved in December 2018. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say 2019.
You done had
And
this
and,
money
and the
since
thing about it is,
2019.
they gave them this money. The county gave them this money to say, hey, in a nutshell, they said, listen, we want to do youth development. We haven't found any land. We don't have any personnel. We don't have any programs. Give it to us, and then we'll go do it. Here I'm saying, I have a building. I have the personnel. I have programs. We're doing programs, and I'm asking for the money and the money to do it. And they don't want to give it to me. And the thing that I hear a lot from people, not a lot, but this is what I get the feedback. Oh, well, Willie just want the money. He's just money grub. He's just money grabbing. Well, what they don't like, one of the persons defended me, said, listen, Willie Green does this because he loves these communities. He was doing this stuff with his own money, for the last 30 years. Anything that I've done in this community, I've given out of my own pocket. So it's not about the money for me, but the money does help me give these kids an opportunity. Right now, every day you can come in my gym and you'll see people using my gym to rent my gym. Unfortunately, it's the people who could afford to pay me $100 to $125 an hour. That's not our community. I've had to turn away dance teams because they can't afford to pay my rates. I've been able to turn away these basketball teams that can't afford my rate. The people who rent my building are from Oconee, North Oconee, Monroe, Bethlehem, those Athens Academy, Athens Christian, Prince Avenue. They're the ones who are using my building. my building, I wanted it to be able to support the underserved. But unfortunately, I still have a mortgage. I have personnel. I have bills to pay. So I can't just volunteer all my building all the
But
time. And all
if
I
you was
ask the city,
funded, then it could be opened up, right?
no
Am I
doubt, and it would be free. It would be just like Lay Park and Hurd Park. It'll be free to the Athens public. We will, again, the sheriff department, and if the police department want to come back on board, we will have one season. We'll have basketball. Then the next season we'll have volleyball. And the next season we'll have soccer. So we'll be very, very diverse in making sure our kids are introduced to all kind of sports. My daughter went to college on volleyball, right? There's a lot of young African, a lot of minority young girls who need to be introduced to volleyball, but they can't afford it, right? There's a lot of our young men and young women that wants to be introduced to soccer, but they can't afford it. They can't afford to join these soccer leagues. But so that's what I have proposed, and I've continued to propose it to say, listen, give me the funding. My gym will be free to the public, and we will be, and with two courts, like unlike Lay Park and Hurd Park, they only have one court. So if you and I, even taxpayers, want to go in there and play adult basketball, we can't because the kids are in there playing, right? So you can have, and I even proposed, I bought the land next door to propose to build another building to add 4 more courts on there. So it's not just that contributing, giving back to the community. The way the city would get an economic return on their investment, an economic boost to this community, is me hosting travel ball tournaments on weekends where we got teams coming in here. We have travel ball tournaments. We have 50 to 80 teams coming in here on weekend playing basketball. How is that an economic boost? Because those teams and parents and kids coming here, they eat in our restaurants, they shopping at our retail, they staying in our hotels, right? So it's an economic boost back to the community because they're spending money here in Athens. And the irony of all of this is there's several members on the commission who kids play in the games that are played at my basketball gym on weekends.
hold up. You mean to tell me the same people that give you hassle about funding this so you can help this community got their kids coming to your gym?
Yes. And I get it all the time to say, hey, such and such is here, man. Why don't you go up there and talk to them and get them? One of the rules that I have in my facility is I don't talk to people about my business. While if you out there, whoever you are, if you are an elected official, whatever, I'm not gonna come up to you and talk about my issue because that's your time with your child.
That's right.
And anybody
Right.
who knows me, if you go to you see me at any of my kids' games, do not talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. I'm there to see my son or my daughter. And you're not going to take that away from me. So we can talk business somewhere else. So I give those public officials that same respect to say, when you come in my gym and you're watching your child play or somebody play, that is a neutral site for me not to talk to you about anything. I respect that, and I'll never do that.
But you see, Mr. Green, you got to see where the disconnect part come in at. I mean, you got an awesome gym, and I've been to your gym, man. That tour you gave me, you got a beautiful gym.
Thank you.
And the disconnect part come in at is that something so beautiful that can help so many is being pretty much withheld from the younger, the kid that's living in poverty.
Correct.
It's being held from them.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Now,
Correct.
what do we want to do? Do we want to help our community, or do we want to continue to watch them suffer?
Right.
It's too many young kids dying, bro.
Right.
It's too many. I'm tired of seeing parents crying at funerals and their kid ain't lived to be 17 yet. You know, we bring you the plan. We got everything in the motion. Why you don't want to fund?
Right.
I mean, you just gave such and such millions of dollars to people that build houses and told them to help with kids. Tell me what
yeah,
part of that don't make no sense.
that's not their avenue. You know, you don't listen. I stay within my sandbox. My sandbox is dealing with kids and youth and sports. I had one of the commissioners say to me, "Well, I'm not going to support it because sports is not the only thing." Well, okay, and I'm not saying it's not, but what I'm saying is that I stick with what I know. Now, if you don't think that sports is the best thing for our kids, then go find somebody that could do what you think is the best for our kids. But there are some kids out there that sports help. If it wasn't for sports, I wouldn't have never made it in the NFL. And let me tell you something. One thing about sports teach you everybody's the same. There's no color barrier, there's no economic barrier, there's no race barrier, there's no gender barrier, right? You're a team. And that's it. Sports in the military are the two biggest things that teaches you about the importance of team, importance of overcoming adversity, the importance of being able to make decisions in a moment's notice, the importance of understanding and studying your environment, the importance of keeping your composure. And yet you don't want to, listen, we can't save everybody. I can't save everybody. But even if we can save one or two of them from joining a game or giving them something constructive or giving them an opportunity to go to college and play professional sports, that's to me is a benefit. And again, I just think that from my standpoint, I don't know. I can't find the answer to the question, why is it that based on my history and my family history of giving back to this, both my mom and I have the key to this city from two different mayors for our community service work. Why is it that this commission and this this commission does not see the value of me and what I've done and what my family has done? And again, I invested over $2 million in my current facility of my money. This is not government money. This is not city money. So if the bank said to me, listen, I qualify this guy. If you have any questions on whether or not I can run it, if you have any questions on whether or not I'm a good business person, I tell you what, you go try to get a $2 million loan from the bank and not have the qualifications and not have the financial backing, right? And tell me how that would work. So I would have thought that if I passed that smell test with the bank, that there wouldn't be any questions on whether or not I could run a sports facility or a business.
I think too, they don't really, a lot of these people that's denying this or trying to put a stop to this don't understand. It ain't, even though you have a gym, they said basketball. It ain't just no kids running up and down the court dribbling no ball.
That is
It's
correct.
a lot of stuff, and I know this because I done dealt with, the little league football. I done helped them out, and I watch and see how this go. It ain't just them throwing a football or bouncing the ball. I mean, it's a lot goes into. I mean, those coaches are mentoring those young man, showing them discipline. I mean, it's a lot goes. It ain't just I'm gonna give you a ball. Here, go play for an hour and shoot the ball around.
Right.
Y'all put so much else into that. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't just you dribbling up and down no court and when the whistle blow, it's time to go. It ain't that, man. So maybe they need to, well, you said some of them come out there, but maybe they need a lesson on what goes all into this sports stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give you a prime example. Georgia Cavs, Jeremiah Colbert team practices out there to my gym 3 times a week, right? Last night, they had a situation with a young kid who got in trouble, right? And they brought that kid in my office. And they sat down with that kid and they showed him, you did wrong by this. Here's what you did wrong. You wasn't thinking straight. Had nothing to do with sports. It was because he didn't do what he was supposed to do at home. He's like, you don't disrespect your mother. You don't lie to your mother. Your mother's out here busting her butt to try to make your life better, and you can tell how she's hurt by you not doing that. They don't see that part of it. They don't see that these coaches are not just coaches, they're fathers. It goes back to John Ward and Billups and Mr. Platinum telling us the same thing about, it's not about just about sports. It's about teaching you about life. It's about teaching you about not getting in trouble. It's teaching you discipline. And those are the things that Jeremiah and his coaches, when those kids are out there, you're right. They're not just throwing a basketball out there and say go at it. They
Right.
teaching these kids life skills as they are developing them.
I just want to tell you, man, keep up the good work. I mean, it's gonna be obstacles, bro. I mean, cause that's the type of city that we live in. Until we get all of this government on the same page, all the way down from the police department all the way up to the mayor. Until we get all this stuff in order and everybody on the same page, that's gonna make it better for our community, bro. We're gonna continue to have to go. I mean, you and a couple of more people I can name off the top of my head, man, do so much for ad to try to help the kids, the homeless peoples or whatever. And I appreciate that, man, cause at one time I thought I was all, and that was me not sitting still and paying attention.
Right.
But at one time I felt like I was the only one that was trying to help make Athens better. But now that I'm in this circle, I see you got a lot of people that want what's best for this community. They want what's best for our kids, our homeless, the housing situation. Everybody want to make it better, and it's getting better. But we still got the kinks we got to work out. And if it come to tackling the issue with police jumping on young men's or homeless people laying on the bottom of the street, then we got to solve that problem, man. Because I think I really do think that community policing is way better than, like you said, the Max Sewells and all that. They ain't got none of that stuff now, man.
They don't.
They ain't got none of that.
And I can tell you this, Brother Hardy. I do see. I see a shift change. I'm optimistic because I see people like Stephanie Johnson now being on the commission. And here's someone that pretty much like you and I, we found out, right, who our friends were when we got arrested or when we got fired. We found out who our friends were. And we've defeated all odds, right? Everything that they've come. So, but I do see with people like Tiffany Taylor, young Tiffany Taylor, Dexter Fisher, and now Stephanie coming on the board. I do see commission. I do see. I believe that those are people who are looking out for for the best interest of Athens, right? It ain't just about us as being blacks because it's never been that way with me. I don't give a damn what color you are, right? If I'm going to give you respect as long as you respect me. I'm going to help you as long as you're willing to, do what you're supposed to do. So I just think, like I said, I know it sounds strange, but I still think that there's an opportunity for the chief to turn around. Now that the county manager is gone, I think that hopefully he's able to now go do what him and Sproul wanted to do, reach back out, consider the proposal. I think I got word today that they supposed to be, meaning the commissioners are supposed to be discussing my proposal at their agenda meeting on the 16th of July, and hopefully they will put it on the agenda to be voted on August the 6th. I'm hopeful of that. So then by the time school starts in September, that we could start these programs with the sheriff department and hopefully with the police department. But it's going to all come down to what the mayor wants. If he's going to put it on the agenda, and that's going to be the telltale to see whether or not he thinks that my helping out is in the best interest of Athens. Bottom line.
It'll take a real dummy not to see that our community and our youth need help. I don't want to keep having to call people and say, "Hey, what happened to such and such? He got killed last night." Kids are dying, man, at a rapid rate. Anything that we can do to save our youth, man, that's what we need to be focusing on. And if we got people that sit in the commission or even the mayor sit in a position and see something, or avenue that can help these youth, why not do it? I mean, you just gave people that building the house all this money and they ain't did nothing yet. I mean, so come on now, keep it real now.
Right. So, but I appreciate it. I know I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I got to get over to the gym and open it up, but But no, like I said, man, I appreciate what you're doing. I think more and more people are speaking out. Again, you got the city has 4 civil complaints against them with people, blacks that have been unlawfully arrested. They got 2 complaints, 2 civil complaints in federal court with black people being unlawfully terminated from their job. So I do see more and more blacks uh, speaking up and speaking out. You know, you and I've had this conversation, and I'm almost, you know, I'm one of these. I'm optimistic about the way I see things. We're not quite there yet, but we're moving in the right direction, and I hope that people see that people like myself and you and Stephanie and others, we want to help. We want Athens to be one of those communities like it used to be where everybody get along. But the question is, what is the agenda of our administration? Is it to continue to push our underserved communities out of East Athens and out of Central Athens with Lay Park? And you see a huge growth out here in West Athens. You see, you know, Stonehenge, and you see people are starting to move out this way. So why do we not have a community center? And the thing about what's funny about this is, you know, through public records requests, I've seen at least 6 people who are white asking the question to the mayor in emails, why aren't you guys not supporting Willie Green building a West Side community center? So it's not just black people asking the question or showing that there's a need for it.
Yeah,
It's
race
white
don't
people.
play a part.
No, it
Race
don't.
don't play a part
The
nowhere, bro.
pickleball people, they don't have nowhere to go. They can't go to Lake Park and Hurd Park. They're like, wait a minute. This man is willing to open his gym up to us in the morning for us to play pickleball because we don't have a West Side community. Why are you not supporting this? If you don't want to build it, if leisure services don't have the appetite to come out here and build a West Side community center, which you and I both know it won't happen in our lifetime, then if they don't have the appetite to do it, then why not do it with me? I'm ready to go. I have a site plan. I have a building plan. I've bought the land. So you can't question whether or not I'm going to do it. I'm waiting on the funding to do it. If you gave me the funding today, I'll get started tomorrow, right? So I'm ready to go. Um, so anyway, but like I said, I appreciate you taking the time out to, you know, allow me to, you know, talk about this. But I go back to, like I said, I go back to that lady and just hearing her say on that video, and you can tell the fear in her voice. So like, you guys supposed to be the good guys. And again, I think the police department, I think the vast majority of our law enforcement officers, they doing the right thing. I just think that they need support from their administration to say, go do these things that we need to stop our youth from joining these gangs and being killed.
Maybe, and I'm gonna close with this, but maybe if the police department got out more to the community and sat down with some of the community leaders, sat down with some of us and see what can make it better as to where we won't run when we see the police. Yeah, I mean, we'll welcome them instead of run away from them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Maybe if they did that more, when you take the people like the Charles Hardy, the Willie Greens, or whoever, and sit down and all us in a room and say, hey, look, what can we do better to bring that community contact back between the police department and the community? I mean, but that don't happen.
Well,
So
you got to.
you're gonna forever have incidents that's going on, and then when you say something about it, everybody look at you crazy like, why did he say that about it? Well, I just witnessed a police putting his knee in a man's neck,
Right.
so I'm gonna say something. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
what it is.
First of all, before the police can do that, you got to stop doing. You know, I say to my kids, and I hope none of them, you know, young kids are now. I say to them, don't do stupid shit, right? So you got to quit showing this image of this portrayal of police is putting their knees and necks on someone who's not resisting arrest. You know, how does a traffic stop of a helmet, a man not wearing a moped on a helmet, escalate to, you know, having 5 or 6 police on his back? How does a public drunkenness downtown with all those people being drunk escalate to a young black man having his knee on his neck and on his back? How does it escalate to that point? You know, like you said on that with the moped, it could have been a DS. I know police officers, again, that I grew up with would have said to that guy, hey, man, listen, put your helmet on, you know, because I don't want you to get hurt out here, and I ain't going to give you no ticket, but put your helmet on. I'm pretty sure that conversation would have went like this. Okay, man, I appreciate it, officer. And the officer, be careful out here because, you know, it's dark. That would have ended that,
Ended
right?
it
It
right
would have
there.
ended it. But you don't, if you don't understand de-escalation and you don't understand community policing, this is what you get, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
same with me. If they would have said to me, Mr. Green, I tell you what, you got an issue with it. Why don't, they could have waited. It's not like I can pick my building up and leave. They could have waited till Monday to get clarification on whether or not I was in my right. You know, I'm saying that I was in my right. You're saying I'm not. They could have said, well, Mr. Green, why don't we just wait until, because we had already complied by turning the music down, right? We already done that. They could have waited till Monday and got a better understanding of the law, and they would have found out I was right before they had to. How did it escalate from you saying that there wasn't no music, loud music, to and to giving me a verbal warning to me being locked up for obstruction?
Right.
How did it escalate to that point?
Hey, Mr. Green, thank you, man, for everything you've been doing, man. Thank you so much for it. I'm glad to call you my friend, man, because I know I got somebody that see the same views I see and want to make this community better.
Right.
Want to make the city of Athens better. Like I said, ain't no black or white thing, man. It's all us working together to make our city better. I mean, we know that times are moving forward. We ain't in 1999 no more. We ain't in 89 no more. We in 2024. But we still got people with mindsets from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. We moving with time, and a lot of people don't want to move with time, but that's just the way of living now. You have to move with time. So I just want to say, man, I'm gonna let you go, but thank you so much for everything, man. If you ever need me, man, you know you can reach out to me because we do the same type stuff. So reach
Well, I
out to me,
appreciate it.
man. Anthony, love you, man, and congratulations on the Super Bowl ring. I'm gonna get one on one day. I don't know how I'm gonna get it. I'm
Well,
gonna get one on one day.
you're gonna have to go in. You're gonna have to find them in a safe deposit box because, as you can see, I don't wear jewelry. So,
Yeah, I see. Hey,
so
thank you so much, man, for everything, man. One day, hopefully one day soon, man, I can get out there and we can show them the type of work you do out there in the gym with the kids and stuff. Probably before this commission, because I think they just don't know. I just don't want people to think it's just dribbling the basketball down the court.
right,
There's so much goes in. I mean, they can go to some of them little league football games and see that. It's
right,
so much go. Them kids ain't out there just running no football. They getting mentored. They getting school. I mean, it's so much goes into that, and I think a lot of people just don't know that.
right, right,
Um,
right.
but thank you for everything, man. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work, man. If you need me, man, holler. I'll probably call you later on this season, man, to follow back up with you.
That'll work. Talk to you later.
All right, big dog.
All right, later.
All right, later.